So let's move into physical business logistics. So in the online world, transporting stuff costs $0 essentially. In the offline world, in the real world, moving crap around costs a lot, especially dense iron.
Yeah.
It's probably like the worst thing to show. Like, unless you're shipping uranium, there's probably like nothing worse than like iron ore to ship around. How do you ship all this heavy ass stuff? Like, okay, if I order $2,000 worth of equipment, does it come in like a UPS box? Like, what does it come in?
Yeah. So one of the things when you ask this, I remember everything that sucks about my business is why I have a business. And so shipping weights sucks. It's just hard.
Oh, that's your moat.
What's that?
Compared to other people, that's your moat.
It's absolutely a
Some
moat.
nerd like me will be like, I don't want to deal with this stuff. Nice.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, totally. So the way that we do that is moving boxes 101 is touch the boxes as infrequently as possible. Because whenever you touch a box, there's basically cost involved. Either, a human cost or a machine cost or possible damage or blah, 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 whatever. So rule number 1, touch it as infrequently as possible. Rule number 2 is ship as efficiently as possible. Now, in our case, sometimes that means shipping on LTL or like a freight line to an end user like you.
LTL?
LTL, less than truckload. Sorry,
okay,
acronym. But in practice, most consumers are not used to receiving truckload shipments. And truckload shipments are way different than UPS. So UPS, FedEx, the Postal Service, used to be DHL as well. They all have or had networks that covered all of the US, which not only included, the hubs to go from hub to hub, but also last mile, which last mile is the biggest problem in shipping anything. So freight companies are not like that. There are a patchwork of freight companies all over the place, and they interline or put freight to each other. Basically, it's a nightmare for the customer. So anything that we possibly can, we ship through UPS as our preferred provider. And so does UPS damage things? Absolutely. But it's way easier for you as an end user than for anybody else. Than a freight line would be. And we basically just go toe to toe with UPS in terms of negotiating the rates.
Wait, so you're saying if I order like 10 45-pound weights and 3 barbells or whatever, it just shows up in a UPS box?
That's correct. Multiple boxes, to be fair, but yes.
So delivery drivers are always like, God damn it. Like, they probably hate you.
We say we got the most jacked UPS drivers in the business.
Oh, do they have to sign like a special driver? Because like there must be some sort of like strength requirement or something?
They don't have to send out a special driver. I will say, though, that there have been times where we've had drivers who hated us, and then have had times where we have drivers who think that we're cool and love us. And it really is a lot easier when the driver just personally is into what we're doing and is, a bigger type dude.
Can you send like 1,000 pounds in a UPS? Is it a thing?
Sort of. So UPS's single box limit is 150 pounds. So you can't send any single box over 150 pounds. And you start getting into these tiers of higher charge once your box crests 50 pounds. I think, I'm trying to remember, I don't recall exactly off the top of my head what those different tiers are. But UPS is trying to encourage you to ship relatively as lightweight boxes as possible, or at least under 50 pounds. And so if you ordered 10 45-pound plates, chances are you would get, if you ordered 5 pairs or 10 singles, you would potentially get 10 different boxes from us delivered by UPS. Mm-hmm. And he just bring them up to your door one at a time.
Dang. Okay. Yeah, because shipping's always a nightmare. And then shipping quick is a nightmare. And then shipping heavy stuff, oh my God, I can't even imagine. Where do you store all this crap? Like, I imagine you have like a ton of, like literally tons of weights somewhere.
So right now our warehouse is in Austin, Texas. We're always constantly seeing like, hey, is that a good place to be? I mean, the major benefit of being in Austin, Texas is that I am here in Austin, Texas.
You're in the middle of the country.
Like, yeah. And it's not that bad. It does take about a day to get out of Texas if we're shipping anywhere north. So if anything needs to go basically north of Texas, it takes about a day to get
It's always on truck, right? Never plane.
Oh, yeah. I mean, very infrequently do we ship on a plane. Very, very, very infrequently. Every now and again. But yeah, it's almost always on a truck. But yeah, so we've got a warehouse here in Austin, Texas. And then we do leverage a little bit of 3PL, or basically third-party logistics, or other people's warehouses.
How big are these warehouses?
My warehouse here in Austin, Texas is about 22,000 square feet. But then again, like I said, we're leveraging third-party warehouses as well.
Nice. So, and you're buying a bigger warehouse.
Man, I'm trying like hell. It is. So Austin is a boom town right now. And one of the things that Austin's under-resourced for is what's called light industrial, which is the type of warehouse that I need. Heavy industrial would be like the Tesla plant that they're putting in, because it's got heavy power and all that stuff. Light industrial is like a warehouse that would supply the Tesla plant or store barbells. And so Austin is very, very under-resourced in light industrial. So I've tried to buy 5 warehouses in the past few months and been shot down on all of them.
Dang. Yeah, I know there's a ton of light industrial moving here to service like Tesla and all these big factories that are moving here. We'll probably put some, if we have some warehouse pictures or something. I'm just curious, like, because I was in the e-commerce. That's how I started, like in 1999 or 2001. I was in the e-commerce space. And so warehousing was always interesting because it was out of California, San Carlos, California. And we had a third party who sent out all our stuff, but I would go and visit the warehouse. And there's something cool about just like, oh, it's like $5 million worth of stuff here. It's like kind of neat.
So something to mention about that is I did get very involved. So prior to Fringe Sport, I was an employee at a company called Living Direct, where we sold small appliances online. And I did get very involved in the ops side of that business at various different times. And I've always found it to be really interesting, the actual physical movement of stuff. I do think that the sales and marketing side is quite a bit more lucrative than the ops management side, but ops management is interesting to me.
Well, okay. So on that front, with the physical physical goods suck because, one reason they suck is you have to spend money to make them before you sell them.
Yeah.
So you have to, let's say I buy $100 barbell, you had to put up at least $50 or something a while ago to make that money.
Exactly.
So you have to put up money to make money.
Yeah.
Whereas in the digital world, it's kind of like you don't really have to put up much money at all. Maybe some hosting or something. Does that suck?
Yeah, it totally sucks. And for the first, that is like the devil of an e-commerce business. They're, especially a small e-commerce business. I mean, I imagine if you're Casper or if you're some other business that's funded, then it's not really a big deal because you do a raise and then, you can probably get a line based on, the investors that have invested in you or something like that. But for a small e-commerce business, it's really difficult. So I've got two stories about that. Story number one is, until I grew to a pretty decent size, I was banking at Chase and they did not know what to do with me. I mean, God bless our rep at Chase, but she basically dealt with me and then like a bunch of plumbers. And so when I first went to Chase for a line, because I had all my business assets there, she was like, oh yeah, we can do a line, no problem, $15,000. And I'm like, my Amex card has $100,000, soft limit or whatever on it, like 15K isn't going to cut it. I'm looking more for like $500,000. And, her head about flew off, like $500,000. What kind of plumber are you? So there was that. However, the other thing, and I love telling this story, is a short one, because there's a lot of antipathy sometimes to dealing with China in various different spaces. So when I resigned from Living Direct, where I was an employee previously, and founded Fringe, one of my friends that I had dealt with over in China for Living Direct on the appliance side, he came to me. I didn't come to him. He came to me and he said, Peter, it has been so enjoyable for me to work with you for these past 5 years. I know you're starting your own business and I know cash flow is difficult when you start your own business. So I'm going to give you $500,000 in inventory financing. Just pay me back, please. And I said, oh, wow, that's amazing. His name is Frank. I said, that is amazing. And we shook hands on it. I never once signed a piece of paper or anything. And he floated me for the first several years of my business $500,000 in inventory financing. And part of the reason I like saying this, I mean, is that an unfair advantage? Sure, it's an unfair advantage. But I hear about a lot of like China, kind of stuff like that, here in America. And I'm like, I've lived all over the world and I've met good people all over the world. There's some assholes in the US, there's some assholes in China, but fundamentally we all want better things for our kids, down the road. And that was, just one example of just like a deep friendship and something that's not happened to me anywhere else.
That's awesome. I mean, because getting that upfront money to sell stuff is difficult.
Yeah.
It's hard. I used to float I ran a rave company, never been to a rave in my life, but like,
I didn't know you'd never been to a rave. You write about House of Rave so often. That's funny. I kind of thought that.
I went to Burning Man once in 2014.
Okay.
That counts. I guess that's a rave.
But House of Rave was way before that. So
yeah, exactly. So there was actually that was like my Christmas. I remember seeing every August and September. I'd be like, "What are all these giant orders for?" And I'd be like, "Burning Man, what is that?" And they sued me twice. Actually, that's a different story. But so spending money up front kind of sucks, but it's also your moat.
Yeah.
It means like less people are going to get in on that. Also, you sell heavy stuff. Mm-hmm. So I imagine there's probably like fewer people that sell barbells and stuff than normal. Now, let me ask you this. So you have a physical location people can actually buy from, right?
Yep.
Okay. If I go there and buy a barbell, is it significantly cheaper because they don't have to pay for shipping?
We do a 10% discount for people who walk in. I will say that the experience is probably as good as we try to make our experience on our Shopify site. It's probably better when you walk in because every salesperson that I have is like steeped in this stuff.
Oh, so this is an actual store.
It's not high street retail, but yes, it's an actual store. You can walk in.
Oh,
we had to shut it down due to COVID. I'm looking when I can reopen it. But pre-COVID, we ran the only free gym in the United States. And so pre-COVID, we had hundreds of people a week coming by Fringe to work out. And some portion of those, bought something. And that's how we supported the free gym. But yes, we have a non-traditional, non-high street.
Yeah, I gotta come check this out.